one of the things that they started doing was making pumpkin pies, and so I brought in pumpkin pie Play-Doh, and they used that as. And so where this went is one of the days during our outdoor learning, the kids decided that they wanted to bring this stuff for pumpkin pies outside. And my intention was to leave these materials inside. They have now become a part of our outside play kitchen. So I eventually brought it outside, and they were doing pumpkin pie making outside and doing all these fabulous pie making outside. And they started realizing that they need water to make the pies, because it wasn't very much fun when it was just all dry stuff. Like I said, this was started in October, so it was still dry outside. So they're using the water to make their pies. And this is where it really started. So Joanne in my class just saw that there's this stream that comes down the hill, and Joanne decided, and the pumpkin pie makers were doing it at the bottom, Joanne decided that she was going to pour water from our classroom down this stream to the pie makers. So there's them watching the water go through the stream. More and more kids, of course, got involved. Eventually, they got the water to the pie makers. After you do something, the next step is what it means. So I usually write out to the children what it means. I try to use their language in a way that will captivate the children. Things like, I would say, like, you're a scientist when you discovered this. The kids like that kind of language, like you're a scientist or you're a mathematician, that kind of thing. I find the kids really captivate them when you're reading the stories to them. So from there, if you see in the book that I've handed out, the kids will have written in their little take-home books different things about their learnings. And so I set out a new provocation, because a lot of the stuff revolved around water and not actually the pie making. So we went and I put out a new provocation. The kids had decided that they needed more water and more tools for this, because all we had was the one tool at the beginning, which was a watering can that we used in our classroom to water the flowers in my classroom. And so they needed more tools. So I brought out more tools for them for the water. And one of the things, I'm just going to let you guys read this part. And they were working together, and they finally made it work, which was a big success. So what this means. And then I write the next steps. So where can we take this next? What new learnings can we do from here? So the next step is we brought all this stuff inside of our classroom. So they're investigating the same things inside and outside, which that connection just made the learning that much deeper. So lots of different, yeah, that's a good picture of the two stations side by side. You can see how they interplayed together. And then I have a wonder wall in my classroom. I think I have a picture of it in my book that's coming around. And the kids put up different questions that they're having throughout anything, really. They can come and put a question on the board anytime during the day. And I was finding a theme throughout is really about how does water get to our school and how does water get to our houses. So I thought that this was probably a good question to investigate. So this was our investigation. And we started off, I just did, okay, here's some paper. You tell me, how do you think water gets to our houses? And so they came up with lots of different things of how water gets to our houses, just their ideas. And then we actually went out and did some real research. And so we did, we went to the library, we got books. I brought in a few different YouTube clips. And so we were investigating how water actually gets to their houses. And then we went on a field trip. This is a pump station in Coquitlam, just down on Austin. And Brad, he's the head of water in Coquitlam, he explained to us, he had this fabulous model of how water gets to their houses, and he had this big display board of actual pictures in Coquitlam showing them how water gets to their houses. And then that's our re-representations of the models that he showed, how they think. So they were representing how they thought water got to their houses. That I thought was the end. That was December.
And then just a couple weeks ago in my class, we were out, in January I started setting up color provocations in my class, and I was trying to do color stuff. We were out on a color hunt with just little paint chips this day, and it was all going great until we found water. So just, to me, this just solidified the power of emergent curriculum and project-based learning and the learning coming from the kids. My intention this day was to go out on a color hunt. I thought it was going to be great, but, you know, and it was, but it just wasn't where they were at once they wanted to do what they were doing. Well, I think for me, like I've been saying, is it really makes the projects come, I guess. Like, if I didn't do the documentation, I don't really see how a project would have formed out of one day deciding, okay, I'm going to let them take these pie plates outside. I think it would have just been, okay, we're going to take the pie plates outside and end of story. But because I wrote down in my thing, okay, next steps, where can I take this? So obviously I'm going home, I'm reflecting, I'm thinking, okay, where can I take this learning? I could have just left it at pies, but because I saw the engagement in water and the water streams coming down, I was like, let's put this provocation out next. So it's always thinking what's going to happen next, I guess, when you're doing it. Say that's the biggest thing of documentation. And helping get the parents on board and parents understanding what's going on was huge too. Sending home the homework books with their picture and the parents seeing all of that. Like I had this one mom in my class say her son doesn't come home and tell her anything. And with the books, she's at least hearing something about what's going on. She's at least understanding some of this stuff that's going on in kindergarten. So.